go, but we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in a secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in a secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. I got to fly a Kiss Ultra FC today. This is just one of my test flights. I'm just trying to ring it out. I'm not trying to like do any freestyle madness. Little throttle punches. See how it responds. Just kind of going bonkers on the sticks. Yeah, flies pretty good. I don't really know what's happening right here. Little bobbles in there. Were there little bobbles in there? Oh. Hang on a second. Right here. Oh, little bobbles in there. Am I crazy? Oh. Felt pretty good. Joseph Dahari says that's being worked on. That is not the stock tune FPV merch. This is a crunk tune. Apparently it's not 1000% perfect. Interesting. I didn't see that when I was flying it. But it's there. How about that? Looks like stick input. Come on, Dan636. I'm like hovering. I think it's my GoPro freezing up. I don't know about that. Yeah, it flies pretty good, though. It flies pretty good. No doubt. Here, I'm opening up a little bit with just some flying instead of just trying to ring it out and make it do bad things. It flies pretty smooth. This isn't a default tune, but it isn't a custom tune either. Crunk's tunes are pretty damn good. It's trying to bring out the prop wash oscillation there. If it was... Alright, I think I'm done. Oh, yeah. If it was YouTube compression, then why would I be seeing it? I'm seeing it. Right? Doom239, what happened to the Baby Ape 3-inch? The camera on the Baby Ape 3-inch is total garbage. So I said to them, please send me the Caddx Ant camera, the upgraded one, so I can properly review it. So they're sending it to me. And then I will be back to the Baby Ape because like if I was going to review it today, I'd be like, it flies good, but the camera is trash. And I would say, yeah, there's this upgraded camera that's supposed to be better, but I don't have it. And I didn't review it. And I thought that's not a good review. So I just, I asked them to send me the Caddx Ant. Actually, I have to, hang on. It's going to drive me crazy all night if I don't fix it. So now I fixed it. Okay, good. Anyway, welcome to the live stream, everybody. Welcome back. I'm very thankful to Phantom FPV, who sent me his KISS Ultra quad with his one and only KISS Ultra. Because he just wanted me to experience it. It was pretty freaking good. Athix, you want a camera review on the Acrobi? What do you mean the Acrobi, Athix? Oh, Athix, I see. Athix was at the race I was at this weekend. I went to a Tiny Whoop race with Jesse Perkins and the local FPV crew. I can show you something about that. Hold on a second. Athix. So I took the NewBie B-Brain V3 Acrobi. That's there. They sent it. They sent it to me sometime back in hopes that I would review it, and I did not get around to reviewing it because it wasn't whoop season. And now I'm going to a whoop race, and I thought, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So I believe it was this one. Yeah, the newbie drone Acrobi 65 BLV3 bind and fly. It's pretty cool little tiny whoop. 18,000 kV motors, so powerful, but not like 25,000 kV Mobula 6 gut ripper powerful. But I actually preferred it. I actually compared this when I was getting ready to go to this race. I compared the Acrobi to my Mobula 6, and I preferred the Acrobi because I found it more controllable. Because I just don't need 19,000 kV. So I said, okay, I'm going to race the Acrobi. I brought the Mobula 6 as a backup. I'll show you why that was a good idea in a second. But this is a pretty cool little tiny whoop. It does have up to 120 milliwatt VTX. Now, you wouldn't use that when you were racing, but, you know, that's pretty slick if you want to just fly around the house. And it's pretty good. Let me show you an example of what that looked like. I gotta find the video where I actually fly it. Let's see here. There's TAC. Let's see. I believe. Let's try this one. Am I flying in this one? Is that? Yeah, no, that's me, and that's the Acrobi. So let me put this over on the right screen here. There we go. And yeah, so this is it. This is DVR. I thought that the camera on the Acrobi was it was a little dark. It was a little dark. I'll show you the Mobula 6 camera as a comparison. So this is the Acrobi, and obviously I am flying it, so it's as slow as I am or fast as I am, however you want. And these are actually my first laps. I kind of didn't know the track. Have I made enough excuses yet? Here I'm in acro mode after I turtled without realizing it. Now I'm back. Now, okay, here we go. Oh, that guy's so fast. He crashed. Aha. The camera, I think, is, it wasn't my favorite camera that I ever had on a Tiny Whoop. In an environment like this, it was, I mean, thankfully, you certainly could see the bright LED gates just fine. And then this happened. Let's back up here there for a second. Yeah, so I was going for this obstacle here, and wait a minute. Thanks, camera. Thanks, camera. Boom. There was a lot of multipath Greg's Maker Corner. Absolutely was. So, unfortunately... Here, I'll show you. Unfortunately, during that crash, this happened. Oops. In fact, not only did the canopy break, which you can see, but the lens of the camera broke off the board. So it was a complete loss, the camera and the canopy, which was disappointing. So, like, I don't know what to say about that. On the one hand, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people flying these and having great results with them. On the other hand, I mean, you can see for yourself what happened and decide how you feel about it. Right, here I go. Now, I fell from the ceiling. And maybe even, like, right here. Who knows if this, like, did I, like, hit it in some way? Maybe that, like, that looks like it's coming in underneath the ducts. Boom. And, yeah, see, camera's still working here. So it took the damage when it hit the floor. Here we go. And right there on the floor. Oh, we're falling. Here we go. Oh, in slow motion. Frame by frame. Right. See, I mean, it was like right upside down. It was a pretty bad scenario. But, boom. Now she's done. I was disappointed. I thought that I've flown and crashed a lot of other frames. And granted, the canopy is a weak spot on a lot of them, but I was disappointed in the amount of damage that was done in that crash, and was not super impressed with the canopy and the strength of it. This was not a Mobula 6. It is the newbie drone. I was just showing it on stream to make sure everybody knew what I was talking about. It's the newbie drone Acro B65 BLV3 bind and fly. So I think, and I've heard a couple other people say that they think this canopy is a little too brittle, a little too stiff, and if I would agree with that, especially because it took the freaking camera with it somehow. So that's too bad. So I raced the rest of the night on the Mobula 6 and did not go on to win the race, but when you're racing against Evan Turner and Rab FPV and a lot of other really fast guys, that's not too surprising. So for perspective, here's the camera. Here's that camera, because people were asking about the camera. Which one? Is this a good one? Do I actually fly in this one or just change my video transfer? Just change my video transfer. Okay, great. Not that one. That's TAC. I don't need to see TAC racing. Mobula 6. Do we actually get to see it go? No. 1 second, guys. All right. Yeah, so here's the Mobula 6. Well, the video's kind of effed up here. I'm not sure, but I'll show it to you anyway. Is this me? Where's JB? No, this isn't me. It must be me, though, because why does it not say JB in the corner? Oh, well. So this is the Mobula 6. There's a lot of multipathing. The video is pretty messed up, but you can see, I think the camera is a little more sort of bright and doing a little better with the combination of the LED lights and the rest of the lighting. So I preferred this camera to the Acrobeast camera for what it's worth. Oh, nope. Yeah, this is why I didn't win the race. Among many reasons. But you know what? If you have to win to enjoy a race, then only one person would ever enjoy the race. I had a great time hanging out. Great environment. Yeah, a lot of fun. Yeah, so this is the Mobula 6 flying. And it was a little harder to control. I actually ran it with an 85% throttle limit the whole night. And you can see in the lower left, here's the throttle position. You can see I'm not getting close to that 85% at any point. You know. Anyway, so that's what happened. Had a good old time. Yeah. I was gonna like make a video about this one. Athix points out that Evan Turner was recommending that everybody take their antennas off, and a lot of people felt that the situation improved with antennas removed, which is surprising. What I found, and I agree, it was better with antennas removed. And I would say the reason for that is that when you remove the antennas from the modules, then everything coming in is weaker. And what ends up happening is that the multipath reflections fall down below the noise floor of the module, so that the multipath reflections no longer create flashes on screen. Your signal is also weaker, but your signal is just strong enough to get above the noise floor of the module. And so your signal is a little bit staticky, but the static is sort of uniform and is easier to deal with than flashes and streaks. Greg's Maker Corner, we removed the antennas from the receiver modules. Those will not take damage. You don't remove the antenna from the VTX, from the receiver module. Yeah, Mike Bergman, thank you for the kind words. I felt pretty good about my laps. They were relatively clean. I seldom crashed, but they were. I made pro class somehow. I made pro class. I mean, so I guess somebody has to make. It just means there were a lot of people slower than me, but I did make pro class. So, Bastian Sonderman, no news about DJI Canvas OSD. They said they were going to do it. Cadix said they were working on it. Who knows? Haven't seen it yet. I'm not holding my breath. Fabio, I see you asking. It's certainly repairable. The damage is absolutely repairable. You would need a new canopy and you would need a new camera. That's it. Just a couple screws and a few dollars. The camera is a plug-in part, so it's not even required that you solder anything. But I would give feedback. I mean, I feel a little bad talking about this on Livestream without actually giving the feedback to Newbie Drone first. But hey, what are you gonna do? I would say that I would question the design of the canopy. Now, some people would say, well, that was a pretty hard hit. He crashed from, 20 feet in the air, upside down on the canopy on a cement floor. What do you expect? I mean, I'll tell you this. I have been to more than one whoop race in my life, and I have, make sure I'm right, I don't think I have ever failed to finish on the same whoop that I started with. In terms of I destroyed something and couldn't keep racing. And obviously, I'm not arguing that whoops should be indestructible. Whoops break all the time. But this was a new experience for me. I brought a spare. And honestly, I thought to myself, I'll bring a spare whoop. And if I break a prop or something, I could just, so I'll just switch whoops instead of change props. But I wasn't expecting to break the canopy and destroy the camera. So there you go. Anyway. There you go. That's that. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to recap my my weekend. Here's what we're doing this tonight. I will be taking your questions here in the chat. Did I fly with Mockingbird? The Mobula 6, I think, does have a Mockingbird tune on it. The last time I flew the Mobula 6 was back when I made a video. I think it's back when I made a video about Mockingbird. So I do think it had the Mockingbird tune on it. But honestly, I just pulled it out of a drawer that I'd had it in forever. It flew pretty good. I'm going to be taking your questions here. Pacific Northwest Pilots wants to know if I used Red Pine. I tried to use Red Pine because who doesn't like a little bit of latency improvement, but I could not get the newbie drone to go into binding mode with Red Pine. The CLI command to bind it wouldn't work when you switched to Red Pine protocol. So I wanted to use Red Pine, but I couldn't get it working on short notice. If you want to make sure I get... Now I'm going to talk about other things, and these questions are going to go by, and I'm not going to read them because I'm busy doing live streaming. If you want to make sure I get your question, hit the $ right down here and leave a super chat. And your super chat will get called out to the side, and I will read it a little later in the stream. Great way to support me. And another great way to support me is to join my patrons down here in the Discord server. So if you want to do that, you can join my Patreon. Link in the video description, patreon.com. And these beautiful people will hang out with you all day and talk about your quadcopter, and so will I. And yeah, the problem, so EDOC, I tried, so it's Red Pine, not FreeSky, right? But I tried binding it using FreeSky and then switching to Red Pine, and it lost its bind. So I couldn't figure out how to bind it once it had Red Pine activated as the SPI protocol. Yeah, but I did. Is it FreeSky D8 or D16? I bound it with FreeSky D8, then I switched to Red Pine, and it didn't work. It lost bind. Should I have done D16, EDOC? That would have been cool. Yeah, I would love to have gotten it to work. In case you guys don't know, Red Pine is a protocol, a very low latency control protocol. Which, God, another one, right? The advantage of Red Pine is that any whoop board with an SPI receiver that does FreeSky, which is a lot of them, you can switch to Red Pine in Betaflight. And then how do you bind to it? If you have a multi-protocol module like the Radio Master or the Jumper radio, then it already supports Red Pine, so there's no faffing about. So like if we go COM3 here on the B-Brain, if I go to configuration, no, sorry, it's Betaflight 4.3. It's a go to receiver. So here I've got SPI receiver and it's set to FreeSky D. If you just go down here, oh no, I'm sorry. This is Betaflight 4.1. It's in Betaflight 4.2. In Betaflight 4.2 and newer, there's a protocol Red Pine, and you can bind it to your multi-protocol module, and it's much lower latency. So if you race Tiny Whoops, try using Red Pine, because it's going to give you a much lower latency control link than FreeSky D8. Some people say it also has longer range. So Jory says Red Pine is still using the CC2500 chip, so no increased range. Jory, I don't. My thinking was that maybe Red Pine. I mean, range is not just about the transmit power, but also about the data you send. I wasn't sure if Red Pine had simplified the signal in such a way that they could get better range, but Jory is saying the range is about the same. But it's a big upgrade in latency. Athix says that one of the Infinity Loops guys said Express LRS is better than Red Pine. That may be true. To me, the advantage of Red Pine is that all I have to do is make a software change in Betaflight, boom, and bind it to my multi-protocol module, bam, and I'm doing Red Pine. No hardware, no changes. It's already there. So that was my excitement. But no dice. Anyway. I got something else I want to show you guys. Hold on. This is going to be on the news. But I'm so excited to talk about it. I want to show you guys. I saw this today. This is going to blow your frickin' mind. Yup. Uh-huh. Yup. This guy ported Doom to the Jumper T16. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. He's literally running Doom on the Jumper T16. And I thought, is this a trick? Is this like, am I being trolled? Nope. Nope. Here's the GitHub repo. So, for the record, it is not running in OpenTX. You literally flash Doom to your radio. It stops being a radio. You flash it using DFU util. Okay, so this is not like running in OpenTX as a Lua script. It basically is a novelty thing. You're going to lose your radio if you do this. Nevertheless, it's pretty freaking badass, isn't it? It's pretty badass. Why, right? Why? I don't know. You know, there's another thing I saw today that is also going to be on the news that I'm going to show you guys as a little, you know, just a little teaser. This is, I got to mute this. This is really cool. This is by Sir Crash-A-Lot. 341 subscribers, hopefully more after this. He flew a race. Now, this is the Insta360 Go 2. So this is a high-def camera. So you can see what he's doing. There's a 2-minute video, and I'm kind of tempted to just let it play out. Now, I have to say this every time, hang on a second. I got to use my, oh, yeah, there we go. Every time I show FPV footage on stream, I have to warn you that, number one, YouTube makes it look worse than it is. And number two, if you're watching my live stream, it's worse than it is. Because on a live stream, you don't have the bit rate to really send out the best quality video. So take this with a grain of salt. But here's the high-def footage. You can go to his channel, Sir Crash-A-Lot's his channel. You can check it out. Here's the high-def footage. By the way, he's pretty freaking good. Look how tight he is in those turns. This guy's all right. This guy's a racer. So now here's analog. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, it's so bad. How does anyone fly through that? You got a shitload of multipath. It's so much multipath. So much multipathing. Nevertheless, there you go. There's some analog for you. He's tearing it up. Oh, my God. Oh, wow. How does anyone fly through this? It's so bad. Okay, now here is Sharkbite. And I have to say, this was not his quad. He borrowed Sniper X's quad, and the rates were not the same. So he's going to start flying like crap. He's going to fly like crap now, and he's a better pilot than this. And I just want to get the disclaimer out there that it's because the rates were not right, and it's not his quad. But here comes Sharkbite. And all you people out there, nobody here in the chat, of course, because you guys are smart, beautiful sausages. All the people out there who are like, Sharkbite doesn't look any better than analog. Shut up! Shut up! Are you blind? Sharkbite doesn't look that much better than analog. It's just like analog plus. Shut up! What? You just shut up. If you, like, I understand why you might say that looking at some videos, maybe. I disagree, but I don't think you're, like, crazy. But look at this. Sharkbite is just like analog. Shut up. Tell me that's just pretty good. It's doing a pretty damn good job. You can still see the multipath is affecting it, but the image that it's carrying is much better, much higher resolution. And the way that the breakup affects the image, the thing with Sharkbite is that the pixels are either there or they're not, but the pixels that are there are clean. Whereas with analog, it just gets all... Now, some people find that the way SharkBite breaks up is they prefer the way analog breaks up. That's your opinion. But I mean, just there's no question this is a vastly superior image to analog. And of course, here comes DJI. Now, what's missing from the DJI comparison is that you can't feel the effect the latency is or having. You can't see that, like, maybe his lap times are 1/10 of a second or 2/10 of a second slower on DJI. Who knows? Obviously, as a racer, you could argue that the latency makes you slower. You could argue you could deal with it, but the pure image quality of DJI is it just clearly wins, right? Just clearly wins, even compared to SharkBite. SharkBite. That's better than analog. Better than analog for sure. And DJI, better than SharkBite in terms of image quality and resolution. But Bad for Life says, if DJI releases the no retransmit mode, damn, they have that, Bad for Life. It's called audience mode, and it's garbage. Audience mode is no retransmit mode, and it's terrible because DJI is not built around that way of operating like HD0 is. So anyway, this is really great. This is really great. It's really great. Anyway, I feel like this is in a lot of ways a massive endorsement for HD0. Because if you care a lot about latency, then if you're an analog racer who is not going to DJI because you care about latency, videos like this should be enough to convince you that HD0 is going to make you better. I would say it does. It's better than analog. That's the place for HD0. It's better than analog, and you don't want to go DJI for some reason. Bobby Bags, audience mode, the latency in audience mode, I don't know what it is. It's I don't know anybody that's measured it. The latency in audience mode is consistent, though. I guess that's not true. It's not true, because with audience mode, the picture just gets crappy really fast. I don't know if it drops frames sooner, though. I don't know about that. Can you run Tracer and DJI at the same time? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Anthony DiStefano, I would encourage you to think about the latency of the entire control loop. The control link, the video link, that's all part of a control loop that the pilot uses to control the quad. So reducing the latency of any part of the control loop makes it better. If you were going to switch from, let's say you were flying FreeSky right now, and you had 20, 25 milliseconds of latency in your control loop, and you were flying analog. So you had, let's say, 4 or 5 milliseconds of latency in your video system. For a total of, let's say, 25 milliseconds of latency in your control loop total, maybe 30. If you were to switch from that to Express Lrs 500 Hertz, which is now 5 or 6 milliseconds of latency in your control link, and DJI, which is now, let's say, at best, 25 milliseconds of latency in your video link. Can you see that in those two scenarios, FreeSky Sbus with analog and Express Lrs 500 Hertz and DJI, your actual control link, your actual control loop latency is about the same. In one case, you have a slow control link and a fast video link. In one case, you have a fast control link and a slow video link. But I don't think you could tell the difference between those two things, because at the end of the day, you move the stick and the image comes back to your goggles. And that takes a certain amount of time. And I don't think it matters how it's sliced up. So in fact, what I think matters the most with DJI is the changing latency, not the total latency. That's what throws people off. Ken Heron, very happy to see you here, my friend. Very happy to see you here. Let me read some super chats. Cali FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. Is it true that LoRa on Tracer is coming soon? Cali FPV, I can tell you that Trappy made a comment about LoRa on Tracer coming in version whatever 6. What did he say? He gave a version number. Hold on, I'm gonna check because I don't want to give you bad information. Trappy said, this is a direct quote, "I can't promise a timeline, but so far it's looking good for 6.14 as the first release, and subsequent releases should have some more magic." And he said that as kind of a throwaway comment on a Facebook post, and I reached out to him and said, "Are you serious? Are you jerking us around?" So LoRa on Tracer hardware is coming in 6.14. Now, when is 6.14 coming? Mixwiz, I respectfully disagree with you. I wish there was a way we could test this, man. I don't know that there is. Mixwiz says, humans can adjust for latency on the control link, but cannot compensate for lag in the video link. Respectfully, I don't think you can tell the difference, because think about it. What are the two things that you are aware of when you're flying? Okay? You know when you moved the stick, right? Because you moved it. Your finger moved the stick. And you know when the image in the goggles indicates that the quad moved. Those are the only two things you know. You do not know how long it took the signal to get to the flight controller. You do not know how long it took the motors to change speed. You do not know how quickly the quad began to move. All you know is that those things happened in some order, and then at some point, the image on your goggles changed. But the only thing you know is you moved the stick and the image in the goggles changed. The timing of everything between those, you don't know. So I don't think you could tell the difference between a slow control link and a fast video link, and a fast control link and a slow video link. I don't think you can tell the difference. All you know is that there's a certain amount of delay between when you move the stick and when you see the quadcopter move in the goggles. That's my opinion. I don't see how you could argue against that. Mixwig says, if you dove into an unknown area, a faster video link would be preferable to a faster control link. Yes, but no, because so if your goal is to press a button as soon as a light turns red, okay? We're talking pure reaction time. Then the faster video link could make a difference. You're going to press the button faster, the faster the video link is, because you'll see the light turn red and you'll press the button faster. But flying a quadcopter is a continuous process. Okay? So if you have a fast video link and like all of a sudden, boom, a puppy jumps out in front of your quadcopter. A faster video link will mean that you see the puppy in your goggles sooner. Okay? But then what? You're going to move the stick or disarm the quad. And nothing is going to happen until that command gets back to the flight controller. So it's a continuous process. And because it's a continuous process, you can't break one part of the process out and say it's the most important part. That's my opinion. Okay. Jonah, thank you for a $10 super chat. Thank you for teaching me how to set up my Ghost receiver this week, Joshua. I'm super excited to put Ghost in my 3-inch tadpole build. Thanks, Jonah. I'm very glad to help you out. Anthony DiStefano, thank you for a $5 super chat. What would cause an analog VTX to cut out for a second at regular intervals? Anthony DiStefano, if the VTX is going black, that means your camera is powering down or your video wire is disconnecting. If the camera was powering down, you would see the startup screen in the camera when it came back. You didn't mention that, so I'm going to assume that's not happening. My guess is that your video wire is messed up between the camera and the flight controller, or between the flight controller and the VTX. Jeff RC, thank you for 5 SGD. What's an SGD? Ah, flip. Just closed my Discord window by accident. Sorry about that. What's an SGD? Singapore dollar. Oh, I don't get a lot of those. Thank you very much for 5 SGD. Thanks for the email last week about the 2 4-in-1 ESC telemetry and current sensor for a single flight controller. Yeah, absolutely. Glad to help, Jeff. Thank you, Isaiah Newman, for a $5 super chat. GPS rescue on my Roma F5 V2 works, but it drags me home kind of sideways at a funny angle. Can I orient the GPS, or is this as good as it gets with no compass? Isaiah Newman, that may be as good as it gets with no compass. With no compass, the only way for the quad to know its heading is to start to fly in a given direction and then sort of integrate the position to get a heading vector. And that's what it does. I'm not sure why it's kind of sideways. Like, it should just fly straight home. But I think without a compass, that may be the best that you're going to get. I don't think it should matter if you rotate the GPS, should it? Could it be that the GPS, because the position is the same? It's just, no, the rotation of the GPS doesn't change. The GPS doesn't have orientation. Does it? No, because it's just giving you position over time. Yeah. Ken Heron wants to know if a DJI Air unit can transmit audio. It cannot. That's the short answer. It cannot. The DJI FPV drone can transmit audio. And if you think about it, the DJI system is just transmitting a digital data link. There is no reason why you couldn't encode audio, but it doesn't do it. Ghost Branch FPV, thanks for 10 euros. Will Doom on the T16 run better than Tracer with Crossfire because it's 2.4 gigahertz? The PCI I originally played it on was only 166 megahertz. I don't know about that. Ghost Branch, I don't think Doom on the T16, I don't think it's just running custom code. It's got nothing to do with Tracer or Crossfire. Lisa Perry, thank you for a $10 super chat. The Xylo HD build works fine, but then started falling out of the sky when I pushed throttle over 50%, and then the motors stop. Lisa, if you've got a quad that falls out of the sky when you push the throttle, the first thing I would want to know is whether it's disarming. Like you would see in the OSD that it was disarming. Or is it a case where you've got a bad motor? Something's wrong with your motor and it's falling out of the air, but it's not disarming. Lisa, if you want to email me, I'm happy to work with you on this and try to figure it out. There's no single answer. If you said, when I push the throttle, the quad falls out of the sky, my first guess would be bad motors. You've got a damaged motor. And the key thing about that would be that it rolls the same direction every time. It would be a bad motor. Chris Coatman, thank you for a $5 super chat. I'm new to FPV. I keep getting low RSSI in the goggles and can't arm. Any suggestions? Chris Coatman, not being able to arm. The first thing you need to do, Chris Coatman, if you can't arm, where's my sample flight controller? Oh, I don't need that anymore. Betaflight has the new virtual flight controller mode. Oh, hello. There we go. So in Betaflight Configurator 10.8, you can select this virtual mode, and then you don't even need to plug in a flight controller. You can just fake it out. Here in the Setup tab, when Betaflight won't arm, the first thing to do is to go in the Setup tab and look at the Arming Disable flags. And they will tell you why Betaflight is refusing to arm. I have a video series for each of the Arming Disable flags But if you got a quad that won't arm, that's what I would want you to check. And I would want you to, you could contact me and say, hey, I've got these arming disable flags. What should I do? The most likely one is going to be something like RX loss, which means your receiver is not talking to your flight controller. But if your quad won't arm, that's what you need. Death FPV HD0 also does not transmit audio. So you're out of luck there too. Lisa Perry, please feel free to email me, joshuabardwell@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to try to help work with you on that Xylo HD build. I mean, I help most anybody, but I especially want to help you if you bought the Xylo HD build that I backed. Nick S wants to know what happened in the deciding heat of multi-GP. I don't know, Nick. 2 of the 4 pilots dropped at gate 2. I don't know. Does anybody know what happened? I don't remember. Excuse me. Chris Coatman. Oh, I got you, Chris Coatman. Alrighty. David Moore wants to know, I just put new props on my quad, the Xylo Freestyle, GemFan 51433 to be exact. The geometry of the frame makes the prop blades come within a ½ centimeter of each other. Should I worry? No. ½ centimeter I wouldn't worry about. As long as they don't touch, you're pretty much fine. The concern would be that the arms might get loose and then they might touch, and you don't want that. When am I going to try the new Fetech software? Well, so here's the deal. So I have Phantom FPV's Kiss Ultra quad that he graciously loaned me. And I flew it some today. I'm going to fly it a little bit more. I want to fly it a little bit more. I'm not done with it yet. As I could never do this. And I know when I say this, he's going to be like, yeah, go ahead, do it, dude. You do whatever you need to do, because he's a good guy like that. But I would never do this. I thought to myself, I've got a Fetech G4. I could real quick just take his Kiss Ultra out and put a Fetech G4 in and fly him back to back. I was like, no, that's too much. That's over the line. So I want to do that back-to-back comparison on my own quad, because I don't know, his quad it's such a good flying quad anyway. I was like, the fact that it flies good doesn't really tell me anything. I would really like to take one of my ultimate freestyle builds and fly it with Betaflight on my flight controller, and then fly it with Kiss, and then fly it with the Fetech G4. Yeah. So that's what I want to do. But for now, I haven't flown that Fetech. I knew he would say to do it. No. I'm not going to do it. No. No, that's too much. That's too much. I was tempted, but I that's too much. Yeah. Because he was like, yeah, oh yeah, you fly as long as you need it. It's my only one. So you fly as long as you need it. Now he wants me to do it. We'll see. The thing is, that's a good comparison, but I need to compare it to a Betaflight quad. I want to put it on I have a JB Perfect Freestyle build with a bad gyro. And I really think what I want to do is do a 3-way comparison with Betaflight on a quad that I know about. Shut up. That's what I want to do. Because your quad, you got an Apex. You got those zip motors. So, anyway, that's the test I really want to do, but I do appreciate you sending it to me. I did put it, Phantom, I did put it in the top of a tree. Check this out. This was fun. Hang on, I have to find the file. Okay, not that one. Not that one. Not that one. It must be this one. That's the intro. Hang on. Oh, you guys can at least see what's going on here as I look for this file. So... that's not in a tree. What the flip? I know I put it in a tree. Was it after? Oh, yeah. So, Phantom here, I was lining up that tree gap that you hit. Okay, no, not quite right. Oh, shit. Right, and I was like, oh, flip. Fortunately. Yeah, like, here we go. We're going to hit this tree gap. I was trying to dive that gap. Looks different because it's winter. Oh, you guys can't hear the motors. Why can't you hear the motors? There we go. Oh, no, that's not quite right. That's not quite right. Hold on. What's it look like? What's it look like? Hang on a second. I got this. I got this. Yep. Okay. Where is it? Where's the gap? Oh, no, that wasn't it. Hold on. Hold on. I'm going to get this. Ready? Okay, for real this time. For real this time. Yeah. Where's the gap? I don't know! Oh! Okay. Okay, no problem. Oh, man. Yay. That was not the gap. Anyway. Oh, good times. Good times. Yeah, lucky it rolled out. It flew good. Tyler Nunley says, why, thank you for a $5 super chat. Why are Popo motors not as popular as they should be? Tyler Nunley. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Why are you not using Popo motors? You tell me. I'll tell you why I don't use them. Here's why I don't use them. And Phantom FPV, you can weigh in because I know you like Popo motors. If you care to. You don't have to, obviously. Popo, the single biggest weakness of the Popo system is that it depends on the prop manufacturer to make the whole system work. If the prop manufacturer, if their mold is slightly worn out or out of tolerance, if their plastic is not right, then the whole thing just falls apart. The prop rips out, it spins. Sometimes it won't engage correctly if the prop is not the right height. Sometimes it's loose. And so if you run Popo, you have a list in the back of your head of which props are good ones and which props are trash. I'll give you an example. The quad that Phantom sent me has Popo motors on it. Fine. I went in my drawers of props, and I said, sure. I got a ton of HQ props. Surely some of them are Popo. No, it turns out no. It turns out that a whole lot of HQ props don't have the little Popo nubs in them. Oh, all right, fine. So I found some old T-motor props that had Popo. They were Popo compatible. I was like, okay. I put them on there. First time I crash, the prop is ripped out. It's spinning. It won't come off, but it's spinning on the shaft because the balls have ripped it out. And then it's left a little booger of plastic that's now not letting the balls work correctly. It's gummed it up. And I spent like 15 minutes jamming at the damn thing, trying to get it unjammed. I was like, I guess I shouldn't have used these T-motor props. Yeah, Phantom says got to be HQ and nothing else for maximum durability and reliability. Yeah. So one of the reasons I don't use Popo on my dailies is that I don't want to be limited to like only this one brand of props that other stuff is going to be a problem. The other thing is that, like, I don't find it that annoying to take a freaking nut off. But I do find it annoying when my freaking popo prop is messed up and I'm like screwing with the damn thing for 15 minutes trying to get it to work. So Jim Fan Hobby is working on stuff to give options as popo and others. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, the thing is, popo props can be used on normal shafts. So as a manufacturer, if you decided to make popo compatible props, there'd be no, like, obviously I think that probably your tolerances need to be a lot better. Like with a standard shaft, if you're off by some fraction of a millimeter, everything probably still works. You just put the nut on, you clamp it down, and you get on with your life. But with popo props, you get very, very little room to screw up. So, but there's no, you could absolutely use popo props on non-popo motors. Anyway, and Anima says you guys should time yourself how long it takes you to replace props. I mean, no question, popo is faster when it's working correctly. Dan636 says, I saw a steel video that someone was flying popo props and they kept flying off for no reason, flying in a straight line. I mean, again, Dan636, when popo is working correctly, it's flawless. But you have to be using the right props. Otherwise, and you have to know how to install the props correctly. A lot of people, I think, may not be... I've seen people like they don't have the washers on, so the props are loose, and then they're popping off, or they're not fully engaging. Yeah. That's why I don't use it, though. At the end of the day, I want the flexibility to use any prop that I want, and I don't find changing nuts to be that annoying, but I do find it pretty annoying when my popo props will not. Just find that annoying. I don't know. The devil you know versus the devil you don't. Versus B, thank you for a $5 super chat. Bi-blade versus tri-blade, when and where to use them. So let's talk about that. Bi-blade versus tri-blade. Bi-blade props will load the motor less because they'll have less drag. They will make less thrust at the same RPM because they have fewer blades. And those are the two main differences. So when would you choose a bi-blade prop? The times when you see bi-blade props being used are, number one, when you have a motor that, like, the KV is let's say you have a motor and it's designed for use on 3S with tri-blades. You see this a lot with toothpick quads. You'll have a motor, it's the right KV for 3S with tri-blade props. But if you want to run it on 4S, now the RPM is going to go up. And if you run it on tri-blade props, you'll overheat the ESC and you'll damage the motor. So you run it on bi-blade props, okay? And now you've got much higher RPM, but because you've gone down to 2 blades instead of 3, you're not loading the motor as much. Now, you might think, well, you've upped the RPM, but you've reduced the number of props, so aren't you making less thrust? That all depends. You can end up in a place where you have a net gain. The other place you'll see bi-blade props being used is when you want efficiency. Bi-blade props are more efficient than tri-blades, and we're talking true efficiency here. Not just amps drawn, but amps or watts per gram of thrust. Anytime you add blades to the prop, as the props get closer together, so if you have bi-blades, they're 180 degrees from each other. If you have tri-blades, they're 120 degrees from each other. Quad blades, they're 90 degrees from each other, and so forth. Each prop is in the turbulent air, in the prop wash from the previous one. And this is not entirely true, because everybody pictures the prop just spinning in place, but in reality it's moving forward. Well, most of the time it is. So that efficiency loss is not as a big a deal as people make it out to be, but it is there. So bi-blade props are going to be more efficient than tri-blade or quad blade props. So you'll see them used for long distance flying and cruising. Like a large biblade is going to give you more efficiency than a smaller tri-blade for the same aircraft, for the same RPM and thrust. Phantom FPV points out another advantage of biblades, and that is when you are going for top speed, you'll often see top speed quads using biblades because the goal there is to get the prop to as high an RPM as possible, so you generate as much thrust as possible. And the same motor will drive a biblade to a higher RPM because it's going to load the motor less, having less drag from the props. The difference, at a certain point, the prop will be spinning so fast that the tip of the prop will begin to approach the speed of sound, and that's bad. So sometimes you will see people doing top speed runs with tri-blades, and one of the reasons why you might do that is that you're already spinning the prop so fast that it is starting to approach the speed of sound, at which point, if you want more thrust, you cannot spin the prop any faster. You have to add a blade to get that additional thrust. So why do we use tri-blades pretty much all the time for general purpose quadcopter use, certainly for 5-inch? And the reason, I think, is, like, I remember when everybody flew biblades and tri-blades, and there was some debate way back when, like 2015 or whatever. Tri-blades, I would say that they feel like they corner sharper. And that's because they make more thrust on the motors that we're using, right? A biblade is going to be more responsive. It's going to change speed faster, assuming that the motor is the same, again, because there's less drag. But a tri-blade is going to corner sharper and just make more thrust. And then, we might ask, well, why don't we use quad blades? So as you're going from biblade and adding blades, you get more load on the motor, you get less responsiveness, and you get more thrust. So there is a place, like I tried out once a long time ago, it was like a 4.8-inch quad blade. And the idea was that it's going to have similar load on the motor to a tri-blade, a 5-inch tri-blade, because we've gone to more blades, but we've reduced the diameter. So it's going to be similar in responsiveness, but maybe make more thrust. It was an interesting experiment, but yeah. What happens when the tip approaches the speed of sound? Well, you get a sonic boom, right? And when you get a sonic boom, when anything approaches the speed of sound, you get all these crazy shock waves, and it's really, really bad. Certainly you're going to lose thrust. You may end up destroying the prop, but at the very least, you're going to lose thrust. So, so the takeaway is that, it's the same advice that I give if you are looking to choose a motor or something and you don't know where to start. Look at what other people are doing. Look at what the manufacturer recommends and go with their recommendation. If you've got a toothpick quad that is designed for use with a tri-blade, you probably could use a biblade and it would just make less thrust. But you probably wouldn't want to go up to a heavier prop. Anyway, I didn't say that, Phantom FPV. Stop getting me in trouble. Stop getting me in trouble with Crunked. Thank you very much, A versus B, for that excellent question. Hopefully I gave you some advice. Anthony DiStefano asks, thank you for a $5 super chat. Anthony asks, my 250 is vibrating slightly. Everything's super tight. I'm running the 2-blade props Tommy suggested. What do I do? I mean, Anthony, that's an open-ended question. I think I would check the motors first. Do you have a loose motor bell? Those 250 motors, those 2004 motors, can have issues. So I would check for the loose motor bell. Guys, the lava lamp is on. The lava lamp is always on. It just isn't very bright compared to my video lighting. The lava lamp is always on, guys. Yeah, Anthony, you got to identify the source of the vibration. Is something touching the flight controller? Is a motor loose? Those are the two things I would start with, though. D. Maka, thank you for $5 Australian dollars. Back to HD0. Are they creating their own receiver or going straight shark bite? Will it be worth it over DJI? Is there anything coming with digital soon? D. Maka, HD0 has said that they are making a new hybrid receiver sometime in Q1 2022, I think. They got a couple other things they're working on. Fat Shark has said that they want to focus on making goggles. Now, I don't know what that means. But definitely, HD0 is also working on their own receivers. Will it be worth it over DJI? Only you can answer that question. It's your money and it's your experience. They both have pros and cons. Sway on FPV, thanks for $5 Australian dollars. I am thinking of getting an iFlight Nazgul V1 over V2 as I see no big difference between the two and can save $70 when getting the V1. What do you think? I agree. If I could save 70, especially 70 Australian dollars, which are, I believe, worth more than US dollars. Let's see if that's correct. 1 Australian dollar is 0.71. Oh, no, I see. Australian dollar is cheaper than a US dollar, but because y'all live off in the ass end of the earth, everything is more expensive there. That's my point. Everything's more expensive in Australia, except cobra venom and kangaroo fists. those you can get real cheap. But yeah, if I could save $70 on a Nazgul by going the V1 of the V2, I would totally do it. I would totally do it. I would not hesitate. The V1 is excellent. I've learned that kangaroos will drown your dog. Speaking of Australia. Australians, is this true? I saw it on the internet, so I assume it's true. This video said that kangaroos are sometimes harassed by, I don't know, hyenas, coyotes, whatever, dogs, wild dogs. And one of the things that, so the kangaroo will just like go out into the creek, go out into the lake and be like, come get some. Yeah, you want some? I'm chilling. And then when the dog goes to get the kangaroo is just like, and literally just drowns the dog. Which is all well and good when it's a kangaroo and a dingo. Because that's like the law of the wild, right? Kangaroos killing dingoes, dingoes killing kangaroos. It's none of my business. But if it's your dog, if you ever see it, my point is this. If you ever see a kangaroo just chilling in a lake looking at you, he doesn't want to swim. He doesn't want to play water polo. Do not skinny dip with kangaroos. That's my point. Gino De Gregorio, thank you for a $10 super chat. Would you suggest a 3-inch quad is better for a beginner with less room to fly than something like a 5-inch? For outdoors, sure. Yeah. If you've got like a tight backyard, maybe you're in the suburbs and you got like a half-acre backyard or a quarter acre, and you don't want to piss your neighbors off, you can have fun with a 3-inch in like a half-acre backyard or a corner of a park somewhere, whereas a 5-inch is going to be loud, potentially destructive, and get you attention. For indoors, a 3-inch is probably going to be too much. You're going to want to whoop. Alan KG, thank you for a 50 AED. Ooh. We've got all kinds of new currencies tonight. United Arab Emirates Dirham. Thank you, Alan KG, for 50 AED. I'm always watching your videos and it's great, but I tried one $10 micro drone and it scared and crashed all the things in my home. Your videos make to like the drone hobby. Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words, Alan. Get a simulator, man. Get a simulator. Matt Lindsay, thank you for a $10 super chat. What should I look for in a good frame and flight controller for a toothpick, but big enough to still hold a Vista? I was looking at the GEP RL 2-inch frame, looking to not cause mayhem inside the house. Matt, that's tough, man. If you want to build a toothpick quad with a DJ on it, more power to you. But if you want it for inside the house, life's going to get, that is tricky. That is tough. So if you really want to do it, I go to Mr. Shutterbug, and he builds micros. He is one of the, let's say, top 3 micro builders, I would say, in the U.S. today. He's not, maybe that's a little unfair. Maybe I should say top 5 or top 10. But he's up there is my point. Maybe the world, not just the USA. Yeah, certainly the world. So I would just look for... Here is Sharkbite. I would look for his latest build with DJI. With Sharkbite, he's kind of gone Sharkbite. Here's his DJI Twig 4-inch. So you don't want that. DJI on a 3-inch baby tooth. Okay, so I would go like here. And this is going to be like the lightest 3-inch. Probably not possible, because he often sacrifices a little bit of weight in exchange for durability. But this is going to be like close to the best balance of durability and performance. And I would just copy whatever he does. It's got a naked Caddx Vista. It weighs 59 grams. 3-inch is going to be a little bit much in the house, but I think it's going to be hard for you to do better than what he came up with here. Like, you're talking about going for a 2-inch frame. Why didn't he go with a 2-inch frame? Well, he probably had a good reason for that. Maybe he even talks about it in the video. But I would refer to Mr. Shutterbug, and I would just do whatever he says if you're trying to build an ultralight DJI micro for indoor use. The thing is, if you said, I'm going to build a 5-inch quad with DJI in it, there's just a zillion of those out there. It's not hard to figure out what to do. And if you said, I'm going to build an analog toothpick quad, again, that's a formula that's pretty much figured out, and there are various places you could go to find out what to do. But as soon as you say, I've got DJI and I want to do an indoor micro, it's so heavy that that's really hard to do. And now you really need to think and make the right decision. And Mr. Shutterbug is one of the best. But the chat is right. Any DJI toothpick is going to be at least 2S and maybe 3S or even 4S. But even on 2S, which is what he's got going on here, like, let's look at this thing and watch it fly. Can we see it fly? Let's see it fly. Come on, Mr. Shutterbug. Give us the goods. Can we gonna fly it? Mr. Shutterbug! There we go. Like, I'm going to bet you it's going to be kind of too fast for indoors. Like, does this look like it would be fun to fly indoors? Oh, God, it's the freaking Nebula Nano. Can we not use the Nebula Nano? Can we just switch to Caddx Polar, please? Like, this is... You're gonna really work to fly this indoors. You're not going to get down to 1S with a Caddx Vista. So it's gonna struggle. DJI at indoor flying is a struggle. I'm not talking about a Cinewhoop. Like, obviously you can fly a Cinewhoop indoors. That's not what you're talking about, though, when you talk about wanting like a toothpick indoors. You're gonna struggle. Anyway, that's one of the weak spots of DJI, I think. So Matt Lindsay asks, what should I look for in a good frame and flight controller for a toothpick, big enough to still hold a Vista? You're looking at the GEP-RL 2-inch frame. I don't think that's a good idea. Like, there is a 75mm iFlight quad with DJI on it. I don't think it's a good idea. I think you really want to be looking at 3-inch, but then you're going to struggle to do it indoors. So, Scooter FPV, thank you for a $15 super chat. I mounted a Vtx directly above the ESC. What can I do to eliminate or lower the EMI interference without moving those components? So they make, like Diatone makes a copper cover that goes over their ESCs, and you can even solder a ground wire to it if you want. And that's a thing you can do. That is a thing you can do. Diatone, you could probably adapt the Diatone cover to your ESC. All right, we're caught up. Brandon Beans is asking about the Toothpick 3 frame or the thicker baby tooth frame. Mr. Shutterbug used a 2mm frame for his build. It's a 2S baby tooth. So is that the TP3? Baby tooth frame 2. No, he's using the baby tooth. Yeah. Mr. Shutterbug is using the 2mm baby tooth. So that's in the middle. There you go. That's what he used. If it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. The number one thing you could do, though, is... Oh, Steve FPV Crash has a suggestion for us. The number one thing you could do is use a naked Vista or VTX. Here is... What do we got here? Thank you for the suggestion, Steve FPV Crash. Beta FPV 85X digital VTX. So here he's got a Beta 85X. And this one has prop guard too. I've flown this. It was okay. It would be better with a naked. Oh my God, wait. Is there a naked 85X that you can just buy? No, I don't want any explicit results. Because I used the word naked, really? Oh, let's be naughty. Let's just hit the images. Beta, no, I don't want to get, God forbid there's actually something in there. There's nothing explicit about these results. Calm down. So, oh, naked. Here's the Beta FPV 85X without the naked VTX. Is that right? Quad for, no, that's for naked camera. For naked GoPro. DJI, there you go. That's what, where can I buy the damn thing? What's up, Drone Cams RC? Here's the naked HD 75X. Can I actually buy it, though? I don't know about that. Well, again, it's a review video, but where's the actual quad? I don't know if they sell it in. Why don't I just go look at Beta FPV? No, Yeah, I mean, what? I mean, you're talking about a toothpick. I mean, if you really want to fly a a DJI quad indoors, get the Beta FPV. You know what you should get? You know what you should get? Get the GEP-RC Synolog 2.5. Oh my God, yes. Now I know this is not a toothpick, but if you really want to fly indoors, isn't this a better choice? I think so. I think that might be a better choice than, because it's going to have prop guards. Anyway. I know it's a Cinewhoop, but it's a Cinewhoop, but are you really going to like freestyle your toothpick indoors? Probably not. If you really want to fly DJI indoors, I would argue that the Synolog 2.5 is actually the smart choice. Anyway, moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on. Rodney says, I fly the iFlight A75 digital indoors regularly with no issue. I actually like it. Yeah, let's look at that. I guess we're not moving on. We talked about this on the Sunday live stream. It is flyable indoors. He was talking about building his own, but I mean, if you're going to build your own, maybe you could copy this formula. In fact, if you were to take this and make it naked, it would be way better. I don't know why they don't do that. Yeah. God, I can't believe that thing flies. It's a chunky boy, though. All right. Moving on. Moving on. We're moving on. Moving on. One IFPV wants to know, how come head tracking is not more popular on quads? When you're flying a acro quad or a racing quad, you need to know the direction of the thrust relative to your camera angle. So as you fly, you get a sense of when you hit the throttle, how much will the quad go up versus how much will the quad go forward. And how much do you need to raise the throttle to cause the quad to ascend or descend? And that's all a function of your camera angle. Well, if your camera angle was changing, all of that would go out the window. It would constantly be changing. So that's why you don't see head trackers on freestyle drones and race drones. Doom FPV suggests the Flywoo Firefly 1.6. Let's see. Doom FPV. Oh, is it a hexacopter? There's a hex version. Yeah. Now, he asked what frame and flight controller should I use. He didn't really ask for bind and flies, but, I mean, you can learn about what formula you might want to go with by looking at bind and flies. That's a weird one. Ooh, and selling it with a Nebula Pro Nano. Nice. I like that. That's a weird one. 1203 motor. What does it weigh? Sheesh. Interesting. Do pros for commercial use flying Cinewhoops indoor in angle mode? Asks Marcin Samotia. That depends on the shoot, Marcin. I think most pros would not be in angle mode because you could be smoother in acro mode. But I wouldn't rule anything out. Xvorce wants to know, what do you think about TBS Crossfire or Express LRS? Express LRS is less expensive. Crossfire is easier to use. Express LRS, the hardware is more inconsistent and less reliable because it's made by a whole bunch of different manufacturers, and you can get, as we've seen, you'll get a bad batch, or you'll get a batch of modules with a defect. So you really need to be paying attention. But as we see, TBS is not immune. A whole bunch of people for the last month have been having issues with TBS firmware where when they try to bind, they get the double blinking green light, and then you can't flash with Agent X because there's something wrong with Agent X. You have to flash it with Agent M, etc., etc. So, of all the times when you could make an argument that Crossfire is a more mature and more reliable, a safer ecosystem, right now, when all these Crossfire receivers are having binding issues, kind of not a great look. But overall, over the course of their history, Crossfire firmware has been very bug-free. To be fair, Express LRS firmware has been very bug-free. It's the hardware that makes the difference. That you'll get a hardware from a manufacturer and it'll have some problem, and that you'll have a random manufacturer who's maybe made some crappy hardware. But so that's an issue. Express LRS versus Express, because of its simpler packet format, Express LRS should have better range, watt for watt and hertz for hertz. So if Crossfire is at 50 hertz and Express LRS is at 50 hertz and they're both at 1 watt, then Express LRS should go further. However, they both are going to go 80 kilometers or something preposterous. I'm talking about 900 megahertz here. Obviously, Crossfire is 900 megahertz. So the range is pointlessly long for most people. In terms of support, I have made the argument in the past that the ability to have support from an actual company is valuable. A lot of people would agree with that argument. The guys on the Discord server on the Express LRS Discord server are pretty freaking on it. Mosey points out Crossfire has 8 full PWM channels for planes. Good point. Crossfire has a full-size PWM receiver. There are some Express LRS options that, like, Express LRS has a firmware that will output 5 full PWM channels. It's still not as many as people would like. You can get a Crossfire to PWM converter. So the Express LRS receiver outputs 12 channels or whatever, 16 channels of Crossfire, however many. And then the Crossfire converter converts that to PWM for servos. That can work. So I think the big difference is cost. And Express LRS is a little more fiddly to flash and update. It's not insurmountable, but Crossfire is a little more sort of just push the button and it goes. Express LRS is certainly moving faster. The speed at which Express LRS development has happened in the last 6 months is just jaw-dropping. The things that they've done, and who knows, maybe they'll slow down, but what has Tracer or Crossfire done in the last 6 months in terms of feature updates? Is that fair? I mean, they've been out for a long time. Maybe they did all their growing. Things like the ability to use the Wi-Fi chip that is inside most Express LRS modules or the Bluetooth chip rather, to turn your radio into a game controller over Bluetooth. Most Express LRS modules have this capability built in, and with ELRS 2.0, they just turned it on in firmware. Boom. Now you have a game controller, a wireless Bluetooth game controller. No money spent. Hey, Orca. Orca wants to sell you that capability for $30. It's just built into your Express LRS module already, ready to go. Now, that's not a slam on Orca. I mean, that's a fair price for that. But the Express LRS team just gave it to you for free. And when I look at Crossfire and Tracer and I go, what have they done in the last 6 months? So Express LRS is moving fast, is my point. Anyway. Anyway, yeah, pros and cons. One IFPV, both Express LRS and Crossfire can operate in either the 915 or the 868 megahertz band, depending on whether you're in Europe or somewhere else in the world. The reason that I think Express LRS is a real threat to protocols like Crossfire, Tracer, and Ghost, and is that if you go back 6 months and you look at the things people said about Express LRS, yeah, Crossfire, Express LRS is okay, but it only has 2 position or 3 position aux channels. Well, that certainly is cute that they think we'll accept that. And now the devs are just like, okay, fine, we'll do it differently. We'll fix it. Everything that people have complained about and said, yeah, Express LRS is fine for those nerds over in the corner who are okay with bleh, but I'm going to stick with Crossfire because it has this thing. And then a month later, Express LRS is just like, okay, we did that. Okay, we did that. Like, if there, it means that I think that if there is something like VTX backpack functionality, the ability to link your goggle module to your flight controller, to your video transmitter, to your controller, and change the VTX channel. Just use the Express LRS Lua script to change your channel on all of them at once. Crossfire has had that. That's part of their TBS Cloud Fusion Unify Crossfire ecosystem. Cool. That's really cool. Express LRS is just like, oh yeah, okay, we can do that. 2 months later, they've done it. It's there. So I feel like what we're seeing is that, like, Crossfire and Ghost, like, they started the race and they're up here at the end of the race. And the Express LRS guys went, oh, and everybody's like, look how far behind they are. And I'm like, man, they covered a lot of ground. I'm not sure they're going to be behind for much longer. Anyway. So in a year, where's Express LRS going to be in a year compared to where Crossfire is right now? And here's the beautiful thing. I'm talking about Crossfire because they're like the 500-pound gorilla. Obviously, Ghost is the same boat, but a little different. But here's the beautiful thing. Think about the release of Tracer. Right? What precipitated the release of TBS Tracer? Do you remember? Chat's going to tell me. It was Ghost. Immersion RC said, we're going to be releasing this new Ghost protocol. It's 2.4 gigahertz LoRa. And TBS was like, oh, hey, did we forget to tell you guys? We've been working on Tracer for a long time. Tracer is amazing. You're going to love it. You're not even going to think about Ghost. So the beautiful thing is that if Express LRS actually starts to pressure TBS in a real way, TBS will rouse the sleeping dragon, if you will. It's not that TBS moves slow. It's just that they take their time and they release shit when they're ready to release it. But as soon as they feel somebody nipping at their heels, they just do shit, and it's usually good shit. So it's Express LRS is, even if you don't plan to fly Express LRS is going to be good for you because it's going to make TBS get off their ass. Anyway. LoRa is coming to Tracer. Why could that be? Because TBS is going to be like, oh yeah, we always intended to do that. Yeah. Because that's what they do. They always act like it was their idea. They just hadn't gotten around to it yet. But now they're going to do it. But Trappy said, everybody's going to forget about LoRa. You'll see. Tracer's the future. FLRC is the future. Nobody's going to care about LoRa in 2 years. You'll see. That's not a direct quote, but it's close to a direct quote. And I was like, why don't you give him LoRa? Nah, nobody's going to care about LoRa. You'll see. He said that Ghost was making a mistake by releasing LoRa, and originally it wasn't Express LRS versus Tracer, it was Ghost versus Tracer, and I was like, Ghost gives you LoRa, why don't you have LoRa? Your hardware can do it. And he was like, nobody's going to care about that. In a few years, you'll see. And now they're releasing LoRa. Why? Anyway. Is Express LRS compatible with Sbus? Asks CGM. CGM. Express LRS. Did I launch the damn thing? Yeah, I did. Express LRS 2.0 has a new feature in the receiver config called Receiver Invert TX. If you enable this option, the receiver will output inverted crossfire, which will allow you to connect it to the Sbus pad on like a tiny whoop flight controller. You will still use crossfire as your receiver protocol, but it will work with the inverted Sbus pad on F4 processors and tiny whoop flight controllers. So yes. Oh, and by the way, that feature came about because me and Blunty ranted about it. And because Captain Bry, I believe it was Captain Bry, did the work. So kudos to Captain Bry for the work, obviously. Now here we've got from one IFPV in the Discord server. Here we've got something interesting. What is this? 900 TX mod bundle TX RX combo. It is a long-range telemetry data and RC control system. That's cute, but I bet I don't want to use it. So, for example, what is the latency of the link? Datasheet. What's the latency of the link? Air data rate speeds of up to 500 kbps. What's the latency of the link? It doesn't. What's it going to say? It doesn't say. The thing is this. Here's the thing. However good this might be, and I'm not going to hold my breath that it's good, it doesn't have the backing of the RC hobby. So, like, does it have OpenTX integration? Does it work with Betaflight Lua scripts? Right? Does it integrate with all the other shit that I'm already using? And I bet the answer is no. I mean, I don't know for sure. See, look, transmit the PPM stream from the controller to the vehicle. So it's using your trainer port. It's using a PPM. Well, I mean, it says it works with the JR module bay, but it's PPM. That means the latency is crap. The latency is crap. Right? So it's cute, but it's not for me. And it's certainly not a competitor to Express Lrs or Crossfire. All right. Joe Mama. Thank you for love the username Joe Mama. Thank you for a $5 super chat. What's a good video for Express Lrs backpack setup? Or maybe you have one coming out soon. I don't have one, and I don't know a great one to point you towards. I would bet you if you looked on the Express Lrs Discord, they would point you. I should probably make one, I guess. Well, here's Jai Smith's video. Yeah, there's a couple, but I don't have one. I'm not currently working on one, although maybe I should. So. What are the odds of taking on a VTX with Express Lrs? Steve, do you mean carrying video data over the Express Lrs link? No, it's way, way, way too low bandwidth. It's way too low bandwidth. Ken Hartman says, is the TX chipset in the Mambo the same as 2.4 gigahertz Express Lrs TXs? The RF chip is the same. The microcontroller is not the same. That's my understanding. I'm not 100% on that. I'm 100% that the RF chip is the same. They both do the same protocol. Rise Davis says, it's getting colder, and as a new pilot, I'm really wanting to fly in some light snowfall. Is this something that can be done? What can I do to protect my quad, and does it need it? Rise, what you want to look into is silicon conformal coating. You want to look into silicon conformal coating. This is MG Chemicals conformal coating. You do not want the spray-on aerosol kind. You don't want the aerosol kind. I like the brush-on kind with the brush in the cap. Does it have brush in the cap? No, you'll need your own. Oh, it comes with a brush. Isn't that nice? You'll want to brush that on. Oh, look, it's a KK2 board. Isn't that adorable? The thing is that you cannot get conformal coating onto anything that needs electrical conductivity, like pins or pads or buttons. You can't get it on the barometer if your flight controller has a barometer. So you got to be careful about how you apply it. But that's what you want to waterproof your quad, your electronics. Kmart FPV, what did Bachgrinder say about my house on liftoff? I did not see that. What did he say? Sway on FPV wants to know, what is bidirectional D-shot? Sway on bidirectional D-shot is where the ESC can send motor RPM back to the flight controller over the motor signal wire, and it is used for RPM filtering. The flight controller needs the RPM data to do RPM filtering. One IFPV says, once Trappy gives us Tracer and LoRa, do you think it would perform well compared to Crossfire? Same power. One IFPV, all else being equal, a 2.4 gigahertz control link will get less range than a 900 megahertz control link. However, if a 900 megahertz control link operating at 1 watt goes 80 kilometers, and a 2.4 gigahertz control link operating at 1 watt goes 40 kilometers, do you care about the difference? That's why so many people are going with 2.4 gigahertz Express LRS instead of 900 megahertz. Because the range is so much more than they actually need that the advantages of 2.4 gigahertz more than offset the reduction in range compared to 900 megahertz. And I feel like, and I don't claim to have any special insight, this is pure speculation, but I feel like part of the reason why TBS originally didn't unlock LoRa capability in Tracer is that as soon as Tracer can do LoRa at 1 watt, there's going to be a lot less reason to buy Crossfire. And TBS benefits, I think they could be seen to benefit. I mean, I'm not like, I don't run their company, so maybe I'm wrong, but to just say, oh, we've released this product that completely means that almost nobody's going to buy this old established product. Mad Max FPV, Express LRS 2.4 can do 40 kilometers? Oh, yeah, for sure. Wesley Vardy took Express LRS in this video. He took Express LRS out to, let's find the result. Here's Express LRS at 100 milliwatts at 250 hertz. So that's 250 hertz, not 50 hertz like Crossfire. At 100 milliwatts. How'd it do? Here we go. Distance, here's the distance. 5 kilometers. 7 kilometers. Here we go. 13, 14, 18, 19, 27. 27, 29. Still going. Eventually he turns around because he was running out of battery. He got to 33 kilometers at 100 milliwatts. Okay? And bear in mind, he's at minus 104 dBm. The RSSI threshold, the nominal RSSI threshold, I believe, is minus 110 for 250 hertz. So theoretically, he could have gotten another 6 dB. But bear in mind, if he drops from 250 hertz down to 150 hertz or even 50 hertz, boom, boom, you double or triple that range again. Okay? And that's at 100 milliwatts. If he goes to 500 milliwatts, boom, double that range once again. Well, technically 400 milliwatts. So yeah, 2.4 gigahertz tracer, 2.4 gigahertz Express Lrs, absolutely. It will do, I mean, it didn't fail safe. It'll do 40 kilometers easily. It would do more than 40 kilometers. Under the right conditions, set it at 50 hertz and set it at 1 watt output power, I would guess it would do 60 or 80 kilometers under ideal conditions. Now, Adam says, look at that altitude, though. Absolutely. This is ideal conditions. Absolutely. You're not going to get 30 kilometers under real-world conditions where you're flying behind trees and buildings. No one disputes that. But this is a way to provide a fair comparison between systems. Because once you go up in the air, now there's nothing in the way. So, and everybody who says, yeah, 2.4 gigahertz, I just don't trust it for long range or whatever. Hey, it's your aircraft, it's your decision. But a lot of people who say that are just thinking about spectrum or free sky or fly sky. They don't understand how good LoRa technology is. I had an argument with somebody in my YouTube comments where he was like, I would never trust 2.4 gigahertz. I would never trust 2.4 gigahertz for long range. I'm like, you can't say that. That's like saying, I would never trust a diesel engine. Well, what kind of diesel engine is it? I would never trust an electric car. Really? Because there's a big damn difference between a Tesla Plaid and a Prius. I would never trust it. So you can't, anybody who says, I would never trust 2.4 gigahertz for long range, you got to make a different distinction. 900 megahertz will always penetrate better than 2.4 Bose under the same conditions. That is 100% true. But 2.4 gigahertz LoRa can do some pretty amazing things. Anyway. Prius, I don't know how you say it. Take it easy. One IFPV wants to know, will we need custom long-range antennas with 2.4 gigahertz? Or antennas like the Mambo or Tango be good enough? No, the Tango antenna is fine. Prius, I don't know. How do you say it? Now, if that's what you're taking from that conversation, I don't know what to tell you. Alrighty. Hey, Ciati is here in the chat. Ciati, good to see you. Oh my God, I've been going off this live stream. It's almost 10 o'clock. Yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock. Aaron Ciati is going to be streaming at 10 o'clock. He's going to start posting a link to his stream that you can go to after mine. After mine. Don't leave yet. But we still got some time for questions. Matt Bailey wants to know, does a quad build as long range with 4S 1900 kV F40 motors? Can it do freestyle with the right PIDs and rates? I bought it 2 years ago as a noob. It was slow and the charts look flat. 4S 1900 kV is not going to freestyle great, but I have freestyled on 4S 1900 kV. It wasn't super punchy, but it was, you could do cruisy stuff. If you got 1900 kV F40 motors, run them on 6S. Assuming the rest of your electronics is rated for 6S. Okay, so if you blow your ESC, don't blame me. But if the rest of your electronics are rated for 6S, 1900 kV is a great freestyle build for 5-inch. That's a great kV. Jose Navarro wants to see my shirt. There it is. Do I get a cut for sending views to Ciati? Ciati, are you making money? I didn't know you were making money. I wouldn't be sending you all these views for free if I thought you were making any money. Yeah, I damn well better get a cut for sending you. That's right. What's my cut of your super chats? No, I don't get a cut. No, I'm just being nice. I'm just being nice. Jesus. $355 dislikes. Do I have dislikes on my stream? No. I don't have dislikes. Do I have dislikes on this stream? Wow. Let's see here. How can I see dislikes? Live viewers, likes versus dislikes. No. 123 likes, 2 dislikes. Shut up. You screwing around with me. Oh, haha. People are joking about dislikes because the dislikes got turned off. I understand. Sunshine FF wants to know any tips for better battery life when it's cold out. Keep them in your pocket. Keep them in your pocket. Keep them in your car. Keep them warm. That's the answer. Matt Bailey wants to know, is there a way to check what ESC I have? No, I mean, if you connect it to BL Heli, you could find out what the target is, but that's not going to tell you, like, the amp rating. So. Alrighty. Oh, Ciati pays well. Oh. Okay. I thought for a minute I missed super chats, but no. Gregory Hurst says Fly 533 has a hand warmer now. Yeah, it's a electric hand warmer. Somebody figured out that lipos get super hot, and they were just like, okay, let's call it a hand warmer. Ethics has a heated lipo bag. That is true. Bumblebee V3 or a ProTech 35. They're very different animals, aren't they? The Bumblebee V3 is, I call these second generation Cinewhoops. I've just decided I'm going to arbitrarily name generations of Cinewhoops. So, F you if you don't like it. So, generation 1 is like the original Squirt. And then generation 2 is all the copies of the Squirt that didn't really understand what ducts are and what they do. So, if you look at these Gen 2 Cinewhoops, I had like a 5-minute discussion of the generations of Cinewhoops in my Cinelog 3.5 video, and I took it out because the video was like 28 minutes long, and I thought, okay, this is not, you got to get rid of this. But this is what I call Gen 2 of Cinewhoops, and basically they had ducts kind of like the Shendrone Squirt, but they didn't do any of the things that ducts do other than be prop guards. The props were not close enough to the wall of the duct to gain an efficiency advantage. And the ducts generally did not have a flared shape, which is required, again, to have that efficiency advantage. So Andy Shen actually designed his ducts to be proper ducts. And then all these copies came along and they got it wrong. And then, so this is Gen 2, in my opinion, is this style of Cinewhoop. Gen 3 is stuff like the Cinelog 3.5. Actually, Gen 3, the Cinewhoops, I can't decide what order it came in. The ducts got kind of skinny, like the ProTech Protect 3.5, I think, is a better example. Hang on. So I would say Gen 3 is something like the Protect 3.5. So Protect 3.5, they said, oh, these ducts aren't doing a damn thing anyway. Let's get rid of them. And in Gen 3, they made the ducts just be prop guards. And then it seems like what you could call Gen 4, they switched to a pusher configuration. To me, this feels like the evolution of Cinewhoops in 4 discrete generations. The Squirt, the Bumblebee, like the Protec with the thin motor prop guards and regular motors, and then the pusher configuration. So that's how I read it. They've gotten pretty damn good, I have to say. The Protect 35 is pretty damn good. I mean, the Cinelog 3.5 is pretty damn good. What's your thought about the new jumper T Pro? Xvorce asks. I was excited about the T Pro when it was supposed to come with Express LRS in it. Now that it doesn't come with Express LRS, I'm less excited. I probably should just go ahead and review it. But they said it was going to have Express LRS in it. So it could still be a good radio. It depends on the price. Is it actually for sale? No. Is it for sale? Maker Fire. T Pro. $109. For $109, it could be good. It could be good. Jumper generally makes good stuff. The Jumper T-Lite is good. The thing is, why wouldn't you just buy a T-Lite? Why did they release this radio instead of just keep the T-Lite? Right? What is it? I mean, it's got a few more controls, I guess. It's a little more expensive. But it felt like the whole purpose of this radio, was that it was going to come with Express LRS. And now it doesn't. Is it better than the T-Lite? It looks like it might have better build quality. It's got more switches. It kind of looks like a DJI. Is it supported in OpenTX? Is the target in OpenTX? Probably is. I don't know for sure. Sure looks a lot like a DJI, doesn't it? I don't know. Why did they say they were going to have it have Express LRS in it and then just change their mind for no reason? See, look, it says right here. Oh, no, compatible module bay. Yeah, they just built hype and then nothing. One IFPV says they would take it over the T-Lite because of the folding antenna. Fair. Chibi Kaiju wants to know if the problem with the Rush and SpeedyBee ESCs ever got figured out. Nope. Not as far as I know. I have not heard of any final solution for that. Oh, bad wording. Bad wording. Sorry about that. Can't use that phrase. I have not heard of any resolution to that issue. Jory points out it's got 2S batteries, so the T Pro will be better in that way. Yeah, it's true. Alrighty, guys. It's 9:59. We are going to wrap up. We're going to wrap up the stream. Why aren't there tiny whoops with 16mm mounting, Jonah asks. Is there a tiny whoop that has... Is there a 16mm all-in-one flight controller and ESC? Thank you guys so much for coming out. CIDFPV is going to post the link to his stream. It's kind of like my stream, except with fewer super chats and more uses of the F word. So, you know, to each their own. I got to go by and leave him a super chat now for picking on him. Sorry you couldn't make it to the race this weekend, Ciati. It would have been good to see you. I got to come down to Atlanta and see you sometime soon. I'm going to come see you. I have an excuse to go to Atlanta in January, Ciati. I'm going to come see you. So you better be there. In the meantime, have a great stream, man. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow for the news and throughout the week. Happy flying, everybody.